Welcome, dear friends, to a gentle journey through 130 fascinating facts about Chainsaw Man, the extraordinary world where humanity's darkest fears intertwine with the raw, thrilling pulse of a chainsaw wielding hero. From its humble beginnings as a manga to its transformation into a cultural phenomenon, Chainsaw Man has captured the hearts and imaginations of millions. Tonight, we'll drift softly through the hidden details and stories that make this series so captivating. From the mind behind its creation to the characters that breathe life into its pages, we'll explore the little known facts that help weave this dark yet endearing world. As you settle into your space, let your breath slow, your body relax, and your thoughts drift with the words. Feel the weight of your day lighten as we begin, each fact a soft step toward calm. With each moment, let go of the noise and let the soothing rhythm of the story guide you deeper into rest. And if you find comfort in these gentle journeys, feel free to subscribe and softly let me know where you're listening from tonight. Now, with a quiet heart, let us begin our exploration of Chainsaw Man and the unique world it has carved into our hearts. Fact 1. Chainsaw Man was created by Tatsuki Fujimoto, who began his career as a manga artist with his debut work, Tosho, published in 2010. Fujimoto, known for his unique blend of horror and humor, drew inspiration from both Western and Japanese influences, creating a series that feels raw and unpredictable. The manga was first serialized in 2018 in Weekly Shonen Jump, a platform known for launching iconic series like Naruto and One Piece. Chainsaw Man stood out because of its bold narrative choices, deeply flawed characters, and emotional intensity, qualities that have resonated with fans across the world. Fact 2. The protagonist of Chainsaw Man, Denji, is not your typical shonen hero. He begins the series as a broke young man in severe debt, working as a devil hunter to pay off his deceased father's massive loan. Denji's motivation for fighting devils is simple: to live a better life. This setup of a deeply flawed, relatable character, driven by the most basic desires, allows readers to empathize with his struggle. His transformation into Chainsaw Man serves as both a literal and metaphorical escape from his past, making his character arc uniquely complex as he moves from desperation to empowerment. Fact 3. Denji's companion and one of the most beloved characters in Chainsaw Man is Pochita, a small, dog-like devil who shares Denji's dreams of a better life. Pochita's ability to transform into chainsaw weaponry plays a crucial role in Denji's battles, but it is the bond between them that truly stands out. Pochita's self-sacrifice, when he gives his heart to Denji to save him, becomes one of the most emotional and defining moments in the series. This act of friendship and loyalty not only elevates the bond between human and devil, but also sets the tone for Denji's emotional journey. Fact 4. The world of Chainsaw Man is one where devils are born from humanity's fears and exist as both terrifying and powerful entities. These devils take various forms, each reflecting a different type of fear, from the more literal representations, such as the gun devil or the blood devil, to the more abstract, like the darkness devil. In a world where devils can take the shape of anything from objects to concepts, every fight Denji faces is not just a battle for survival, but also a confrontation with the primal fears that lurk within human consciousness. Fact 5. One of the most interesting aspects of Chainsaw Man is the series' unique take on the idea of devil contracts. Characters in the series form contracts with devils to gain their powers, often at the cost of something precious. This concept adds layers to the world building of Chainsaw Man as characters navigate the moral gray areas of these agreements. These contracts often come with unexpected consequences, whether it's the loss of personal autonomy or the sacrifice of one's humanity. This trade off between power and personal cost is a key theme explored throughout the series. Fact 6: Fujimoto's artwork in Chainsaw Man is distinctive for its chaotic energy and rawness, which matches the series' unpredictable tone. The design of the devils, in particular, is unsettling, capturing the essence of fear in vivid, often grotesque detail. Yet, despite the series' dark themes, there is a subtle beauty in the art, especially in the quieter moments. The contrast between horror and tenderness is evident in Denji's relationships and in moments of emotional depth, where the sharp edges of the world soften, allowing the character's vulnerability to shine through. Fact 7: Makima, a high ranking devil hunter, is one of the most complex and mysterious characters in Chainsaw Man. She initially appears as a calm, composed figure with a deep understanding of the devil world, but as the story progresses, her true motives become more apparent. Her calm demeanor hides her manipulative nature and unyielding desire for control. Makima's relationship with Denji is central to the plot, as she becomes both an object of affection and a symbol of power, serving as a catalyst for Denji's growth and the moral questions he faces throughout the series. Fact 8: Power, a devil human hybrid, is another standout character who plays a pivotal role in Denji's journey. Unlike the stoic Makima, Power is brash, impulsive, and unapologetically chaotic. However, beneath her wild exterior, there's a deep loyalty to those she cares about, especially Denji. Her transformation from a self centered devil to a character who genuinely values the bonds she forms with others is one of the more touching character arcs in the series. Power's unpredictable nature brings both humor and tension to the story, making her one of the most memorable characters in Chainsaw Man. Fact 9: The concept of fear is central to the devil's existence, but Chainsaw Man takes this theme a step further by exploring the human fears that lie beneath. Denji's motivation to live a better life comes from his desire to escape the crushing weight of poverty, but as the story progresses, he is forced to confront more existential fears: loss, love, identity, and purpose. Chainsaw Man challenges the idea that fear is simply something to fight against. Instead, it shows that fear is an integral part of the human experience, something that shapes and motivates the character's actions and decisions. Fact 10: Chainsaw Man's adaptation into an anime series was highly anticipated, and it quickly became a cultural event. Produced by Studio Mappa, known for their work on Jujutsu Kaisen and Attack on Titan, the anime captured the chaotic energy and emotional depth of the manga while bringing the world of Chainsaw Man to life with stunning animation. The series' animation style mirrors its raw intensity, with fluid action sequences and striking visuals that enhance the already gripping narrative. The anime adaptation also introduced Chainsaw Man to a broader audience, further cementing its place in modern pop culture. Fact 11: Aki Hayakawa is one of the most emotionally grounding characters in Chainsaw Man, offering a calm counterbalance to Denji and Power's chaotic nature. His story is shaped by grief, discipline, and a quiet, aching desire for revenge. Yet beneath his stern exterior lies a deeply sensitive heart. Aki's relationships with Denji and Power evolve slowly, shifting from obligation to something resembling family, even if he never fully says it aloud. His journey shows how connection can grow in quiet, unexpected ways, becoming a fragile refuge in a world filled with uncertainty and fear, making him one of the series' gentlest tragedies. Fact 12. One of Aki's most defining traits is his contract with the Fox Devil, a powerful entity that allows him to summon a massive spectral fox head in battle. But this contract is not simply a tool. It reveals the deeper rules of trust between humans and devils. The fox devil favors attractive humans, and its affection shapes the way it chooses partners. Aki's ability to work with it shows his discipline and calm presence, creating a subtle contrast between his composed nature and the wild spiritual ferocity of the fox devil. This bond emphasizes the quiet harmony Aki maintains, even in danger. Fact 13. Another of Aki's contracts is with the Curse Devil, a being that exacts a heavy toll on those who call upon its power. Using this terrifying ability drastically shortens Aki's lifespan, turning each use into a symbol of sacrifice. His willingness to shorten his own future for the sake of missions and for the people he has grown to care about adds a layer of poignancy to his story. In the soft rhythm of his character, this unspoken sacrifice becomes a whisper of devotion, a reminder of how fragile time can be and how love often blooms quietly in the shadow of mortality. Fact 14. Himeno, Aki's partner and mentor, brings a warmer, more human dimension to the early chapters of Chainsaw Man. Her presence offers a gentle counterbalance to the chaos as she navigates danger with a mix of courage, humor, and quiet sorrow. Himeno's bond with Aki introduces themes of longing, companionship, and the ache of unspoken affection. Her complex emotions, hope, regret, devotion, create a delicate thread running through the story. Her arc, filled with bittersweet tenderness, becomes one of the most memorable emotional anchors in the series, reminding readers of the soft, often painful beauty found within human connection. Fact 15. Himeno's contract with the Ghost Devil is symbolic of trust, sacrifice, and lingering fear. The Ghost Devil, with its many hands and spirit-like movements, reflects the haunting presence of the past and the things we carry with us. Himeno's ability to wield the Ghost Devil's power shows how deeply she understands fear, not as something to run from, but as something you gently acknowledge and walk beside. Her relationship with the Ghost Devil becomes an extension of her own inner world, where quiet bravery and vulnerability intermingle like soft shadows in candlelight, creating a sense of fragile, wistful strength. Fact 16. Kobeni Higashiyama introduces a different kind of fear into the series, not monstrous, but deeply relatable. She is timid, anxious, and constantly overwhelmed, yet her survival instincts are astonishing. Kobeni's contrast between her trembling anxiety and sudden bursts of skill creates a strangely soothing rhythm, reminding us of how human emotions can twist and turn like wind in the dark. Her presence brings a soft, uncertain heartbeat to the story, echoing the gentle truth that courage does not always roar. Sometimes it quivers, hesitates, and still finds a way forward, even in a world filled with devils. Fact 17. The Public Safety Division itself is an essential part of the Chainsaw Man universe. More than just an organization, it symbolizes humanity's fragile hope in a world where fear becomes reality. The division is filled with individuals carrying personal burdens, secret contracts, and quiet dreams that often go unspoken. Their work is not fueled by glory, but by necessity, creating a somber, steady undercurrent that guides the narrative forward. The division becomes a soft tapestry of stories woven together, stories of longing, duty, companionship, and the quiet endurance needed to face a world shaped by fear. Fact 18: one of the most intriguing aspects of Chainsaw Man is its unique approach to humor. Instead of disrupting the tone, the humor feels like a gentle exhale between heavier moments, adding softness to the story's darker elements. Whether it's Denji's simple desires, Power's chaotic antics, or unexpected moments of absurdity, the humor helps balance the emotional weight of the narrative. This delicate blending of tones creates a rhythm that feels human and tender, like laughter shared in the dim light between storms, making the story's emotional moments even more impactful. Fact 19: the pacing of Chainsaw Man is often described as unconventional, shifting between quiet introspection and sudden intensity. This ebb and flow mirrors the way emotions move through us, sometimes rushing, sometimes drifting, sometimes lingering in silence. Tatsuki Fujimoto uses this unique pacing to create a dreamlike quality where scenes can feel both real and surreal at the same time. This fluid rhythm invites readers to surrender to the story's momentum, letting it wash over them like gentle waves in the night, carrying both tension and tenderness in its tide. Fact 20: the tone of Chainsaw Man is unlike that of most shonen series. It embraces emotional intimacy, existential reflection, and a quiet longing that runs beneath the chaos. The story acknowledges the rawness of life, its fears, its small joys, its fleeting warmth, and wraps these truths in a narrative that feels strangely comforting despite its darkness. This balance of softness and brutality creates a world that feels vivid and human, where even the sharpest edges are softened by the gentle echo of hope. It is this blend of unease and tenderness that makes Chainsaw Man so deeply memorable, said 21. The Chainsaw Devil, Pochita's true form, represents humanity's primal fear of chainsaws, loud, destructive tools that break through anything. But Fujimoto transforms that fear into something unexpectedly gentle by giving Pochita the personality of a loyal companion. This contrast between terror and tenderness makes the Chainsaw Devil one of the series' most symbolic beings. His chainsaw form embodies overwhelming power, yet his heart carries quiet longing for simple happiness. In this blend of brutality and purity, Pochita becomes a mirror of the world's paradox, how even the sharpest things can hold a soft desire simply to be loved and understood. Fact 22: one of the subtle themes woven throughout Chainsaw Man is the longing for ordinary human experiences. Denji, who begins life deprived of even the smallest comforts, dreams of things many take for granted: jam on bread, a warm bed, feeling the warmth of another person's embrace. These dreams form the emotional backbone of his journey, adding a quiet, almost fragile layer to his character. His deepest desires are not heroic ambitions, but simple moments of normalcy. This softness becomes a gentle reminder of how the smallest wishes can shine the brightest when life has been marked by struggle. Fact 23: early in the series, Denji's first meal as a public safety hunter becomes a symbolic moment of transformation. Sitting with Aki and Power, he experiences the warmth of shared food, a simple curry rice that tastes like a miracle after years of starvation. This tender moment captures the warmth of found family, echoing the soft feeling of finally stepping into a life that feels livable. The scene flows like a gentle pause in the story, a place where fear and danger temporarily fall silent, and Denji is allowed to simply exist, breathe, and savor a small taste of happiness. Fact 24. One of the most iconic themes in Chainsaw Man is the idea of devils growing stronger through fear. The more humans fear a concept, the stronger the devil of that concept becomes. This creates a world shaped by collective emotion, where the power of a devil reflects the depth of human dread. It is a poetic take on the unseen forces that guide human behavior, how anxieties, traumas, and shadows gain strength the more we resist facing them. In this soft metaphorical sense, each devil becomes a reflection of humanity's inner storms, gently urging readers to acknowledge the fears that live within. Fact 25. Tatsuki Fujimoto's storytelling style is marked by sudden shifts, quiet moments dissolving into chaos, laughter softening into sorrow. Yet beneath these contrasts lies a consistent emotional undertone, a yearning for connection. Many characters, despite their strange behaviors or violent roles, simply want a place to belong, a hand to hold, or a moment of rest. Fujimoto crafts these longings with subtle tenderness, allowing each character to reveal fragments of vulnerability. It is this emotional transparency, drifting softly through the narrative, that gives Chainsaw Man its calming pulse, even in its darkest chapters. Fact 26. The Gun Devil, one of the most feared devils in the series, represents humanity's overwhelming terror of gun violence. But Fujimoto portrays this fear in a uniquely symbolic way. The Gun Devil becomes less of a character and more of a presence, an echo of trauma, a shadow cast over the world's collective memory. Its destructive power feels almost dreamlike in its surreal scale, like a nightmare too large to fully understand. This approach frames the Gun Devil as a quiet metaphor for shared grief, acknowledging the emotional scars left behind by fear driven violence. Facta 27. Power's beloved cat, Mioi, adds a gentle softness to the story. Miaoi becomes a source of comfort for Power, a reminder that even devils can hold love in their hearts. Her devotion to her cat reveals a tender layer beneath her brash personality. The bond between them shows how even the wildest souls can find solace in quiet companionship. Miaoi symbolizes the simple, grounding love that softens Power's chaotic edges, creating moments of stillness that feel like a warm cup of tea in a cold world, a reminder that affection can thrive even in the most unlikely places. Fact 28. The Darkness Devil is one of the most haunting entities in Chainsaw Man, embodying humanity's innate fear of the unknown void. Yet its portrayal carries a strange poetic beauty. Its presence is quiet, suffocating, and vast, like an endless night sky without stars. The Darkness Devil feels less like a creature and more like an ancient memory, a collective whisper of fear passed down through all living things. This dreamlike representation transforms darkness from mere horror into an existential symbol, reminding readers of the delicate line between fear and wonder, between shadows and the soft mystery they hold. Fact 29. Angel Devil is another character who blends fear and gentleness in surprising ways. Despite being a devil born from the fear of angels, a concept tied to divine judgment and mortality, he carries a calm, almost serene personality. His refusal to kill humans without reason and his quiet demeanor create an atmosphere of fragile peace around him. His relationship with Aki deepens this softness, adding layers of compassion and melancholy. Angel Devil's presence offers a delicate reminder that even beings born from fear can learn to move with grace, kindness, and a longing for connection. Fact 30. The concept of hybrids in Chainsaw Man, beings who exist between human and devil, reflects the theme of duality that runs through the series. Hybrids like Denji embody both destruction and tenderness, both power and vulnerability. This dual nature makes their existence symbolic, representing the inner conflicts that humans carry quietly within themselves. Hybrids become metaphors for emotional scars, identity struggles, and the delicate balance between light and shadow. Their presence in the story creates a dreamy, symbolic layer, reminding readers of how beautifully complex the human heart can be, holding sharp edges and soft places not all at once. Fact 31. One of the most haunting motifs in Chainsaw Man is the idea of dreams, fragile visions of a better life that flicker softly in the dark. For Denji, dreams are small and personal, like eating good food or feeling the warmth of affection. But dreams in this world carry a delicate duality. They bring comfort, yet they also reveal vulnerability, because to dream is to hope, and to hope is to risk heartbreak. Fujimoto weaves dreams gently through the narrative as reminders of the quiet yearning that lives in every character, turning even the simplest wish into something tender and luminous. Fact 32. Public safety's workplace environment subtly mirrors the emotional landscape of its members. The office feels utilitarian, almost cold, yet filled with quiet moments of humanity. Shared meals, warm drinks, sleepy mornings, and brief conversations that soften the edges of an otherwise harsh profession. These small rituals create a gentle rhythm within the story, offering a sense of grounded normalcy amid the swirling chaos of devils. Through these scenes, Fujimoto captures the understated beauty of everyday life, how peace often arrives not as grand gestures, but as soft, fleeting moments that give the heart a place to rest. Fact 33. Raz, the bomb girl, introduces one of the most bittersweet arcs in the series. Her initially warm, playful demeanor wraps Denji in a softness he has rarely known. Their quiet moments together, sharing food, walking through the night, talking beneath the glow of streetlights, carry a dreamlike tenderness. Yet beneath her gentle exterior lies a deep conflict born of duty and survival. Riza's dual nature becomes a haunting symbol of love caught between worlds, showing how affection can bloom even in dangerous soil. Her story lingers like a sigh in the night, tender and aching all at once. Fact 34. Riza's relationship with Denji represents a fleeting moment of purity in his life. For the first time, someone looks at him not as a weapon or tool, but as a person to cherish. The simplicity of their connection, soft conversation, shared vulnerability, gentle laughter, becomes a warm oasis in the narrative. Even though their bond is shadowed by secrets, the emotional truth of their time together remains profound. It is a reminder that even brief connections can leave lasting imprints, like footprints in snow, delicate yet unforgettable. Their story whispers of innocence, longing, and the ache of what could have been. Fact 35. Fujimoto's use of silence plays a powerful role in Chainsaw Man. Instead of filling every scene with action or dialogue, he often allows quiet moments to linger. Still frames, simple expressions, slow breaths. These pauses create emotional space, letting the reader feel the weight of a character's inner world. Silence becomes a language of its own, saying what words cannot. It expresses grief, contemplation, connection, and exhaustion with a gentle clarity. In this way, Silence becomes one of the series' softest tools, wrapping scenes in calmness, even when the world around the characters still feels overwhelming. Fact 36. Denji and Power's sibling like relationship brings a sweet, chaotic tenderness to the story. Their bond grows slowly, beginning with conflict and distrust, then shifting into reluctant companionship, and finally blossoming into something resembling true family. They share simple joys, eating together, arguing playfully, doing chores, and through these mundane moments, a gentle closeness emerges. Their dynamic shows how found family often grows not through dramatic declarations, but through small, everyday gestures. Their messy warmth becomes one of the series' quiet comforts, offering a soft reminder that love can bloom in unexpected, imperfect spaces. Fact 37. Even the smallest devils in Chainsaw Man serve symbolic roles. Creatures like the zombie devil or tomato devil are humorous at first glance, yet they subtly reflect deeper fears and anxieties. Their presence adds texture to the world, reminding readers that fear comes in countless forms, some dangerous, some harmless, some strangely whimsical. By treating even minor devils with care and creativity, Fujimoto expands the emotional palette of the story. These devils soften the darker themes, offering gentle breaks between intensity and grounding the narrative in a dreamlike balance of the bizarre and the tender. Fact 38. The story's use of domestic scenes, washing dishes, lounging at home, grocery shopping, adds an earthy softness that contrasts its supernatural elements. These scenes breathe warmth into the characters, revealing their quiet desires for stability and comfort. When Denji, Power, and Aki share a home, it becomes a sanctuary where their hearts can rest, even if only temporarily. These gentle moments highlight the simple beauty of routine, reminding the reader that peace often resides in everyday rituals. They slow the story's pacing like a deep exhale, easing tension and offering a cozy sense of belonging. Fact 39. Kishibe, one of public safety's seasoned hunters, carries a calm, almost meditative presence despite his hardened exterior. While he appears stoic and detached, there is a quiet wisdom flowing through him, shaped by years of surviving in a world where fear takes physical form. His mentorship has a stillness to it, sharp yet patient, firm yet strangely compassionate. Kishibe's subtle guidance becomes a stabilizing force, a steady hand in chaotic times. Through him, the story gently explores themes of resilience, acceptance, and the quiet endurance that grows from facing the world's shadows with unwavering calm. Fact 40. Fujimoto's approach to character emotions is deeply authentic. Instead of dramatic speeches or romanticized declarations, characters often express themselves in subtle ways, through small gestures, quiet glances, brief words spoken in passing. This understated style creates a soothing realism where emotions feel tender and raw. It mirrors how people in real life often communicate, softly, imperfectly, with pauses and hesitations. This emotional subtlety wraps the story in a dreamy atmosphere, allowing the reader to feel rather than just observe. It is this softness, this almost whispered expression of the heart, that gives Chainsaw Man its profound emotional resonance. Fact 41. The Eternity Devil arc is one of Chainsaw Man's most symbolic explorations of fear. This devil's power, trapping people in a looping, inescapable space, reflects humanity's terror of being stuck, overwhelmed, or unable to move forward. Yet within this claustrophobic setting, Fujimoto introduces gentle emotional threads, the slow building of trust, Denji's strangely calm acceptance of danger, and the quiet resilience the characters find within themselves. The arc feels like a dream where time folds in on itself, creating a soft metaphor for emotional stagnation and the courage it takes to push through moments that feel endless and consuming. Fact 42: Denji's bravery during the Eternity Devil encounter is not the classical courage of a polished hero, but a raw, instinctive determination shaped by his difficult past. He faces danger with a strange sense of ease, not because he lacks fear, but because fear has long been a ex companion in his life. His willingness to throw himself into the unknown becomes a unique form of tenderness, an act of surrender to the flow of fate. This softness hidden within his recklessness makes the moment feel both gentle and powerful, like a quiet spark glowing in a darkened room. Fact 43: Fujimoto's paneling style in the manga, wide frames, silent pauses, open skies, and close up emotional moments, creates a meditative atmosphere. These choices guide the reader's breathing, slowing the heart and offering space to reflect. The clean, intentional composition of each scene allows both chaos and calm to coexist. Even the action sequences carry a dreamlike rhythm, blending clarity with surreal motion. This artistic pacing makes reading Chainsaw Man feel like drifting through shifting clouds, sometimes turbulent, sometimes still, yet always carried by a gentle undercurrent of emotional sincerity that lingers long after each page is turned. Fact 44: The Katana Man arc deepens the theme of mirrored fates. Katanamon, like Denji, is a human devil hybrid shaped by loss, violence, and longing. Yet the two men diverge emotionally. Denji moves toward connection, while Katanamon clings to vengeance. Their conflict is less about winning and more about the soft contrast between paths taken by hurt souls. Their final confrontation, surprisingly humorous and oddly tender in its own way, serves as a reminder that healing often requires breaking cycles, not through anger, but through letting go. Even in combat, Fujimoto unconsciously nods toward emotional release. Fact 45: Fujimoto's love for cinema deeply influences Chainsaw Man. His storytelling echoes film techniques, lingering shots, sudden cuts, atmospheric lighting, and a strong sense of physical space. Many scenes unfold like moments from an art house movie, where emotion takes precedence over exposition. These cinematic inspirations create a soothing, immersive quality, as if the reader is not just observing the story, but drifting through it. The soft blending of visual storytelling and emotional resonance enriches the experience, offering a gentle sensory harmony that feels calming even amidst the series' more intense moments. Fact 46: Power's growth throughout the story reveals a tender, vulnerable heart beneath her chaotic devil nature. Her early selfishness slowly melts as she begins to care for those around her, hesitantly at first, then with a surprising depth of affection. Her fear of losing what she loves, particularly Maoi and Denji, becomes a quiet thread of humanity woven into her devilish existence. These moments soften her sharp edges, showing that even beings born from fear can blossom into sources of warmth. Her arc becomes a gentle affirmation that love can take root anywhere, even in wild, unexpected places. Fact 47: Aki, Denji, and power forming a household is one of the most delicate emotional pillars of the series. Their shared home becomes a soft haven filled with small rituals, breakfast together, cleaning the house, grocery shopping, that gradually shape them into a found family. These quiet scenes offer a dreamy contrast to the harsh world outside, creating emotional pockets where the characters can rest, heal, and rediscover pieces of themselves. This domestic warmth becomes one of the series' most cherished elements, reminding readers of how comforting it feels to simply exist with people who see and accept you. Fact 48: Violence in Chainsaw Man is often symbolic rather than gratuitous. While battles are visceral, they carry emotional weight rather than glorification. Each confrontation reveals something hidden within the characters: fear, longing, grief, or acceptance. Even the gore serves a narrative purpose, reflecting the internal struggles each character faces. This balance between intensity and emotion creates a gentle paradox, a world that appears brutal on the surface yet secretly aches with tenderness beneath. Fujimoto uses violence not as spectacle, but as a canvas for exploring the quiet, fragile truths of being human. Fact 49: The series subtly explores themes of identity, how people define themselves, and how they hope to be seen. Denji struggles to understand his worth beyond utility. Power wrestles with the duality of being feared yet wanting affection. Aki tries to balance his duty with his buried desire for closeness. These emotional threads weave together in a dreamlike pattern, showing how identity is not fixed but constantly evolving. The gentle way the series treats these internal conflicts, soft, reflective, and quietly honest, creates an unexpectedly soothing rhythm amid the supernatural chaos. Fact 50: Even the supporting characters in Chainsaw Man are crafted with quiet depth. Figures who appear briefly often leave lingering emotional impressions through small gestures, hesitant smiles, or fleeting moments of sincerity. This attention to subtle humanity enriches the entire narrative, creating a world that feels emotionally alive. Each character, no matter how minor, carries their own quiet hopes, fears, and memories. This gentle attention to detail makes the story feel like a tapestry woven from countless delicate threads, all shimmering softly under the same dim, comforting light. Fact 51: One of the most quietly powerful aspects of Chainsaw Man is how it explores the meaning of purpose. Denji begins life with almost nothing: no family, no comfort, no dreams beyond survival. As he enters public safety, he is introduced to the idea that life can hold more than just desperation. Yet he often finds himself unsure of what he truly wants. This uncertainty becomes a soft, recurring theme, reflecting the universal human experience of searching for meaning. In Denji's wandering heart, Fujimoto creates a gentle mirror for anyone who has ever paused in the quiet of night to wonder why they exist at all. Fact 52: The use of weather in Chainsaw Man carries emotional weight, shaping scenes with soft symbolism. Rain often falls during moments of tension or transformation, its steady patter adding a calming melancholy. Sunny scenes are rare and tender, carrying a warm glow that feels fragile, almost breakable. Snow appears with dreamlike quietness, softening the atmosphere with its gentle white stillness. These subtle touches allow the environment to cradle the character's emotions, creating a soothing harmony between inner turmoil and outer world. Fujimoto's weather becomes more than background. It becomes an emotional lullaby woven through the narrative. 153. Denji's desire for physical affection is often misunderstood as shallow, but in reality, it emerges from a deeper longing for warmth and connection. Growing up without nurturing touch, his craving for closeness becomes symbolic of a heart learning how to be loved. Each attempt he makes to understand intimacy reflects a tender vulnerability, like a child reaching out for the first time. The story never mocks this need. Instead, it treats Denji's longing with gentle honesty, showing how affection, no matter how simple, can become a source of healing. His journey toward emotional understanding unfolds as softly as petals opening in slow dawn light. Fact 54: Power's fear of losing those she loves adds a delicate layer to her character. Despite her loud personality, she holds deep anxieties beneath her bravado. Her moments of fear, especially when facing overwhelming danger, reveal a tender fragility seldom seen in devil characters. These glimpses of vulnerability remind the reader that Power's heart, though chaotic, is capable of profound attachment. Her fear is not weakness, it is a sign of how deeply she has allowed herself to care. This quiet emotional thread makes her bond with Denji and Aki even more touching, like a soft candle glowing in a storm. Fact 55: Aki's habit of smoking, although unhealthy, becomes a symbolic ritual within the story. Each cigarette represents a moment of reflection, a pause in the chaos, a silent breath, a small act of grounding. The way Aki lights a cigarette feels almost meditative, as if he is briefly stepping outside the noise of his world to reconnect with himself. Cigarettes also tie him to Himeno in a tender, melancholic way, each shared smoke carrying a whisper of memory. This ritual adds a quiet, sorrowful poetry to Aki's character, shaping him with the gentle ache of someone who has loved deeply and lost deeply. Fact 56: The narrative frequently contrasts youth with the weight of adulthood. Characters like Denji and Power are young in age but burdened by experiences far heavier than their years should hold. Their attempts to navigate responsibility, trauma, and expectation create an emotional softness within the story. They stumble, learn, and grow in uneven steps, sometimes bravely, sometimes clumsily. This uneven path mirrors the real journey of growing up, where people often learn through pain and tenderness intertwined. Fujimoto portrays this process with quiet compassion, letting each character bloom slowly in their own imperfect way. Fact 57: The subtle moments of celebration in Chainsaw Man, birthday cakes, dinners out, shared jokes, create a soft emotional counterbalance to the harshness of the world. These small celebrations feel precious precisely because of their rarity. They become gentle pockets of joy where the characters can breathe, laugh, and forget their burdens for a moment. These scenes unfold like warm lanterns floating through the story, illuminating connections that might otherwise go unnoticed. In these tender glimpses, Chainsaw Man reveals that even in dark worlds, small joys can create profound comfort, offering a quiet refuge for weary hearts. Fact 58: One of Fujimoto's storytelling strengths is his ability to make readers care deeply about characters with minimal exposition. He allows personalities to emerge through actions, glances, gestures, and silence. This subtle character building feels soothing and natural, as if the reader is gently discovering a person rather than being told who they are. It mirrors the soft unfolding of real relationships, where understanding grows slowly, moment by moment. This gentle approach gives Chainsaw Man its emotional depth, allowing even the wildest characters to feel grounded and relatable in a way that lingers long after the final page. Fact 59: The soundtrack of the Chainsaw Man anime, soft piano notes, atmospheric ambiance, and warm melodies, adds a dreamy layer to the story's darker themes. Even during intense moments, the music often carries a quiet emotional undercurrent, guiding the viewer's feelings with a soft hand. The gentle compositions reflect the characters' inner worlds: tired, hopeful, scared, yearning. The score becomes a kind of lullaby woven into the narrative, wrapping scenes in warmth and emotional resonance. This careful blending of music and storytelling enhances the soothing, reflective tone of the world, deepening its ability to touch the heart. Fact 60. Every chapter title in Chainsaw Man carries a subtle meaning, often reflecting a theme, emotion, or turning point within the story. Some titles are deceptively simple, yet when read after finishing the chapter, they reveal a quiet poignancy, as if whispering a message only understood through reflection. These titles act like small lanterns, guiding the reader through the narrative, marking each emotional beat with soft intention. The gentle care placed into even these tiny details shows Fujimoto's deep respect for storytelling, creating a reading experience that feels thoughtful, layered, and dreamlike from beginning to end. Fact 61. The concept of fear hierarchy in Chainsaw Man adds a dreamlike philosophical layer to the story. Devils born from common fears, like blood, insects, or darkness, grow naturally strong, while fears shared by nearly all of humanity take on unimaginable power. This hierarchy reflects the emotional weight that certain anxieties carry within the collective human psyche. In a gentle, symbolic way, the series reminds us that the fears we nourish, whether consciously or unconsciously, shape the world around us. And just like in life, some fears whisper, some linger, and some tower above everything else, casting long shadows over the heart. Fact 62. The Control Devil, Makima's true identity, introduces one of the series' softest but most unsettling themes: the quiet longing for love, twisted into a desire for control. Makima does not lash out or raise her voice. Her strength lies in her stillness, her direct gaze, her poised silence, all of which carry a strangely calming yet chilling presence. Fujimoto portrays her not as a screaming villain, but as a soft, serene force whose tranquility makes her even more haunting. Her gentle cadence, her measured voice, and her almost tender manipulation create a subtle, slow burning tension that feels like a calm room filled with invisible storms. Fact 63. Makima's obsession with Chainsaw Man stems from her dream of forming an ideal world, an endlessly peaceful place free from suffering. But the quiet tragedy lies in her method. She believes peace can only exist through absolute control. This creates a delicate paradox where her longing for connection is overshadowed by her inability to experience it naturally. Her desire for something beautiful becomes tangled in fear, loneliness, and power. This emotional complexity gives Makima a soft, melancholic dimension beneath her composed exterior, like a closed flower that never opens, carrying beauty that no one will ever touch. Fact 64. One of the most poetic elements of the story is how it treats friendship, not as loud declarations, but as small, tender gestures that grow slowly over time. Denji, Power, and Aki rarely express love directly, yet their actions reveal deep affection, saving each other leftovers, waiting at home together, sharing chores, protecting one another in quiet ways. These understated acts create a soothing emotional rhythm, showing that connection often forms through gentle repetition rather than dramatic words. Their friendship becomes a warm, flickering light in a dark world, offering comfort in its simple, imperfect warmth. Fact 65. The weapon hybrids, sword, bomb, spear, and more, represent a uniquely symbolic blend of humanity and destruction. Each hybrid carries a softness beneath their deadly exterior, shaped by memories, desires, and fears. Their existence blurs the line between human vulnerability and devil strength, reflecting the emotional duality found within every person. Fujimoto treats these characters with a quiet tenderness, showing how pain can transform people in strange ways while still leaving space for hope. The hybrids become metaphors for inner wounds, sharp to the touch, yet still capable of feeling, longing, and seeking. Moments of gentle connection. Fact 66. The series often uses empty spaces, open roads, quiet rooftops, vacant rooms to emphasize emotional solitude. These environments evoke a soft, drifting feeling, as if the characters are suspended between past and future, unsure of where they belong. These still scenes give the story a slow, meditative quality, allowing the reader to breathe alongside the characters. In these moments, the world feels peaceful despite its dangers, like the calm after a long storm. Such quiet spaces reveal the emotional landscapes inside the characters, giving the narrative a dreamlike softness even when the plot grows heavy. Fact 67. Denji's emotional awakening throughout the story is subtle and gentle. He begins with simple desires food, shelter, touch, but slowly develops a deeper understanding of affection, responsibility, and grief. Each experience adds softness to his heart, like layers of warm cloth placed one by one over cold skin. His growth is unsteady but sincere, reflecting the slow, fragile process of learning how to care and be cared for. This emotional evolution becomes one of the series' most soothing threads, as Denji gradually discovers that his worth is not measured by utility, but by the quiet, human moments he shares with others. Fact 68. Power's joyful chaos hides a sweet innocence at her core. Her boastfulness, mischief, and loud antics mask a childlike nature, curious, playful, eager for attention. This makes her rare moments of vulnerability especially touching. When she admits fear, seeks comfort, or clings to those she trusts, the tenderness feels especially soft, like a wild creature gently resting its head in someone's lap. Power's emotional transparency adds warmth to the story, reminding readers that beneath the noise of personality, there often lies a soft, trembling heart longing to feel safe. Fact 69. One of the most hauntingly beautiful themes is the idea that devils reincarnate in hell after dying on earth, and on earth after dying in hell. This cycle forms a symbolic loop of forgotten memory, where even beings of fear are given endless second chances. It creates a dreamlike sense of impermanence. Nothing is gone forever, yet nothing returns unchanged. This cycle mirrors human emotional rebirth. We lose parts of ourselves, rediscover new ones, and return to life carrying the echoes of who we once were. Fujimoto captures this with soft melancholy, turning cosmic horror into a poetic metaphor for growth. Fact 70. The Hell Devil's ability to transport characters into hell is portrayed not as fiery chaos, but as a vast, silent plain, an endless, reddish emptiness that feels more like a dream than torment. This depiction transforms hell from a place of screams into a chilling, quiet expanse where fear is experienced not through noise, but through stillness. The silence of hell feels heavy, like a blanket laid over the senses, amplifying the character's emotions. In this eerie calm, Fujimoto creates a surreal atmosphere where the absence of sound becomes its own form of haunting beauty. Fact 71. The unique visual identity of Chainsaw Man comes not only from its characters, but also from its environments. Fujimoto often draws messy rooms, cluttered tables, and imperfect spaces, reflecting the emotional disorder inside the characters' hearts. These environments carry a quiet realism, grounding the wild supernatural events in familiar human textures: unwashed dishes, wrinkled clothes, half empty cups left behind after long days. These small details soften the world, making it feel lived in and intimate. The chaos becomes comforting in its own way, reminding readers that even in worlds filled with devils, humanity leaves gentle traces of ordinary life everywhere it goes. Fact 72. Fujimoto's love for Western media, especially cinema, deeply influenced the pacing and atmosphere of Chainsaw Man. He often combines Japanese storytelling sensibilities with the visual rhythm of foreign films: slow pans, abrupt cuts, moments of quiet tension. This fusion creates a soothing, dreamlike cadence where scenes feel both familiar and strangely new. The soft interplay between cultures enriches the story's emotional palette, giving it a universal quality that resonates with readers worldwide. Even without noticing, one can feel the cinematic softness woven into the panels, like drifting through a film rather than reading a manga, carried gently by mood and emotion. Fact 73. One of the series' quietest but most meaningful motifs is the recurring depiction of doors: closed doors, locked doors, doors that separate rooms, memories, and truths. For Denji, the door in his dreams becomes a symbol of everything he is not ready to face. It represents trauma, fear, and the gentle but terrifying truth waiting behind it. Fujimoto treats this motif with poetic patience, allowing it to appear again and again like a whispered reminder. The door becomes a metaphor for the emotional boundaries we build, the things we hide, and the slow, fragile process of opening ourselves to memory and healing. Fact 74. One of the tender aspects of Chainsaw Man is its portrayal of mentorship. Himeno guiding Aki, Kishibe guiding Kwangsi, Makima guiding Denji, all these relationships explore, in soft and sometimes tragic ways, the intimacy of being shaped by someone else. Mentorship in the story feels less like instruction and more like quiet emotional imprinting, the passing of habits, values, and unspoken truths. These relationships leave subtle marks on the characters, shaping who they become long after the mentors are gone. This tender emotional inheritance becomes one of the story's gentlest themes, lingering like faint fingerprints on the heart. Fact 75. The manga's moments of stillness often carry the deepest emotional impact. A character sipping tea, someone looking out a window, the glow of light on tired faces. These gentle, atmospheric pauses allow the story to breathe. They act like wordless lullabies placed between storms, giving the reader a moment to rest within the narrative. In these quiet intervals, Fujimoto captures the soft ache of being human, the longing, the waiting, the silent processing of everything that has happened. These still moments add a soothing, meditative quality that makes the story feel like a slow exhale after holding one's breath for too long. Fact 76. Quangxi, known as the first devil hunter, introduces a graceful yet fierce presence to the story. Despite her incredible strength, her personality carries moments of surprising softness, especially in the way she treats those she loves. Her loyalty, her protectiveness, and her calm acceptance of chaos give her an aura of gentle resilience. Quangxi becomes a reminder that strength and tenderness can coexist peacefully, like a steady flame glowing in the wind. Her character brings depth to the theme of chosen family, showing how love can form in unconventional places and still fill the heart with warmth and stability. Fact 77. The concept of devil fear takes on a surprisingly introspective meaning when applied to the characters themselves. Many devils fear humans just as much as humans fear devils, creating a quiet empathy running beneath their conflicts. This mutual fear becomes a subtle commentary on misunderstanding and vulnerability, how beings on opposite sides of an emotional divide often tremble for the same reasons. Fujimoto uses this gentle parallel to soften the world's harshness, reminding readers that fear is universal, and in that universality lies the possibility of connection, even between creatures born from terror. Fact 78. Violence and tenderness often exist side by side in Chainsaw Man, creating a soft duality that defines the series. Brutal scenes are frequently followed by moments of care, gentle hands tending wounds, shared meals after battles, quiet words exchanged in dim rooms. This alternating rhythm mirrors the unpredictable flow of life, where pain and comfort intertwine without warning. The juxtaposition creates a soothing emotional symmetry, allowing the story to hold both chaos and calm without contradiction. It reminds the reader that tenderness can bloom even in fractured worlds, offering warmth to those who continue to reach for it. Fact 79. The manga subtly explores the longing for normalcy, a desire that threads through Denji, Aki, Power, and even Makima in her own distant way. Ordinary things like dates, chores, naps, and morning routines become symbols of peace. These moments of mundane life shine gently against the backdrop of supernatural conflict, emphasizing how precious ordinary days can be. Fujimoto treats these scenes with tender care, allowing readers to savor the warmth of everyday moments. It becomes clear that the heart of the story is not battles, but the soft, quiet yearning to live a life that feels real and safe. Fact 80. Animals in Chainsaw Man, from Maui to Makima's dogs, to the small creatures seen in passing panels, often symbolize innocence, untouched by the world's cruelty. Their presence brings softness, grounding the story in the purity of simple life. Animals observe without judgment, love without condition, and exist without hidden motives, qualities that contrast gently with the complexity of human emotions. Their quiet companionship adds warmth to many scenes, reminding characters and readers alike that comfort can come from the smallest, gentlest connections. In a world shaped by fear, these animals become tiny lanterns of calm, glowing softly in the dark. Fact 81. Fujimoto's portrayal of grief in Chainsaw Man is one of its most delicate emotional threads. Instead of dramatizing sorrow, he presents grief as something quiet, heavy, and deeply human, felt through small silences, trembling breaths, and the stillness that follows loss. Characters do not always cry or break down. Often, they simply sit in the muted weight of absence, unsure what to do next. This gentle realism allows grief to settle like soft dusk across the panels, reflecting the way people often experience pain in real life, quietly, privately, and in moments that linger long after the world has moved on. Fact 82. The way humor is woven into Chainsaw Man creates a soothing emotional balance, cushioning the darker themes with soft, unexpected moments of levity. Denji and Power's chaotic antics, Aki's exhausted reactions, and small absurdities scattered through the narrative act, like tiny breaths of fresh air. These moments don't break the story's tone, they soften it, adding warmth to an otherwise heavy world. Humor becomes a gentle reminder that even in the midst of fear and uncertainty, the human spirit naturally seeks connection through laughter, offering small but meaningful relief to both characters and readers. Fact 83. The idea of found family is central to the emotional heart of the series. Denji, Power, and Aki are not related by blood, yet their bond grows through shared meals, shared struggles, and shared vulnerability. Their home becomes a place where worn out souls rest, grow, and hold onto fleeting but meaningful moments of peace. This quiet, imperfect togetherness feels like a soft blanket wrapped around the narrative, giving warmth to everything it touches. Their family is not ideal or tidy, but it is real, tender, and achingly human, making their connection one of the story's most soothing elements. Fact 84. The gentle symbolism of food in Chainsaw Man adds a warm, comforting presence to the story. From Denji's first taste of jam to meals cooked by Aki, food becomes a soft expression of care. Sharing a table is portrayed not as a mundane act, but as a tender ritual that builds connection. These scenes offer emotional nourishment, reminding us of the simple intimacy of breaking bread with others. In a world filled with devils and danger, food becomes a symbol of grounding, something warm, familiar, and safe, inviting both characters and readers into a moment of quiet comfort. Fact 85. The series often uses nighttime imagery to deepen its dreamy atmosphere. Under starless skies, characters walk, reflect, or sit together in dim rooms filled with soft shadows. The night becomes a gentle canvas for vulnerability, where emotions can surface without judgment. This stillness gives the story a soothing cadence, as if every nighttime scene invites the reader to slow down and breathe deeply. The darkness in Chainsaw Man is not always frightening. Sometimes it feels like a quiet blanket wrapped around the characters, giving them a momentary place to hide, rest, or simply be. Fact 86. Despite its supernatural premise, Chainsaw Man remains grounded through its portrayal of everyday exhaustion. Characters return home weary, slump into chairs, or fall asleep in odd places, gentle reminders of their humanity. These small depictions of tiredness add emotional texture, showing that even those who fight devils need moments of rest. In these quiet glimpses, the story honors the simple, universal truth that everyone needs a place to relax, breathe, and heal. This realism softens the supernatural chaos, making the characters feel relatable and deeply human, like tired friends we've known for years. Fact 87. The contrast between Denji's childlike wonder and the world's harsh realities creates a comforting emotional tension throughout the series. Denji marvels at small joys, warm meals, soft touches, sunlight through windows. These tender reactions make even ordinary experiences feel magical, as though he is rediscovering the world piece by piece. His innocence brings a gentle brightness to scenes heavy with danger or sorrow. In this way, Denji becomes a soft beacon in the narrative, reminding both characters and readers that beauty often hides in simple moments, waiting quietly to be noticed with a grateful heart. Fact 88. One of the more subtle themes in Chainsaw Man is the idea of emotional numbness, how characters sometimes drift through life disconnected from their own feelings. Denji, Aki, Makima, and others struggle with understanding their emotions or knowing how to express them. Fujimoto treats this numbness not as coldness, but as a quiet survival mechanism that forms when life becomes overwhelming. Through gentle interactions and delicate moments of connection, the story explores how numbness slowly softens, allowing emotion to return like warmth to frozen fingers. This transformation is slow, tender, and deeply resonant. Fact 89: the inclusion of holidays and seasonal changes adds a subtle, dreamy rhythm to the story. Scenes of characters wearing coats in winter, walking beneath falling snow, or feeling the heavy warmth of summer give the world a gentle natural cycle. These shifts in weather act like soft markers in time, allowing readers to feel the slow passage of days within the chaos of the plot. Seasonal imagery creates an emotional anchor, warm in summer, crisp in fall, quiet in winter, giving the story a soothing familiarity, like watching the year turn slowly outside one's window. Fact 90: the darkness within Chainsaw Man is balanced by moments of startling tenderness, kind words, quiet gestures, shared silences. These moments create emotional depth that feels almost therapeutic. The tenderness acts like a soft light shining through cracks in the world's harsh exterior. It reminds readers that even when life feels frightening or unpredictable, gentle moments still exist, waiting to wrap the heart in warmth. Fujimoto's ability to weave these delicate emotional threads into a story filled with devils creates a soothing, dreamlike balance that resonates long after the final page. Fact 91: the aesthetic of shadows in Chainsaw Man adds a subtle layer of dreamlike beauty. Fujimoto often frames scenes with soft, diffused lighting, where characters are partially obscured in darkness or bathed in dim light. Shadows become an extension of emotion, emphasizing uncertainty, introspection, or gentle melancholy. This visual softness encourages readers to slow down and reflect alongside the characters. Even during moments of action, shadows lend a quiet rhythm, like waves lapping gently on the shore. This delicate interplay of light and dark mirrors the internal landscapes of the characters, creating a calm, meditative undertone within the story's chaotic world. Fact 92: the concept of devil contracts in Chainsaw Man carries emotional resonance beyond its practical implications. Characters give parts of themselves, time, energy, emotions, even their lives, in exchange for power, which adds a quiet poignancy to every action. Each contract reflects a character's vulnerability, hopes, and sacrifices. This slow emotional trade off becomes a central theme. Power is never free, and the cost is often measured in tender, invisible increments. Fujimoto portrays these contracts with subtlety, allowing readers to sense the delicate weight of each decision. The gentle gravity of these choices softens the narrative, making the fantastical world emotionally tangible. Fact 93: the recurring motif of blood in the story, though often associated with violence, carries a strange softness in its symbolism. Blood represents life, loss, connection, and vulnerability simultaneously. Denji's chainsaw transformations, covered in red, feel both terrifying and intimate, a visual metaphor for how life's intensity can be both destructive and essential. Fujimoto's use of blood becomes lyrical, like a quiet pulse beneath the story's surface, drawing attention to the fragile thread that connects the living to one another. In this way, what might seem grotesque becomes a poetic, emotional expression of the human condition, quietly stirring empathy in the reader. Fact 94: Makima's interactions with Denji often feel like a delicate, tension filled dance, She speaks softly, her movements precise, and her presence exudes a calm authority that is both soothing and unsettling. Her control is not loud or brash, but subtle, creating an emotional gravity that draws others toward her. Fujimoto uses her quiet influence to explore themes of desire, submission, and the longing for connection, all wrapped in understated elegance. Her serene demeanor acts as a counterpoint to Denji's impulsive, chaotic energy, creating a slow, poetic rhythm in their interactions that balances the story's intensity with quiet, emotional resonance. Fact 95: Fujimoto's handling of trauma is both gentle and profound. Characters carry scars, physical, emotional, and psychological, without sensationalizing them. Their experiences are shown as quiet truths, affecting behavior, relationships, and choices in subtle ways. The narrative allows space for processing grief, fear, and loss, often in long, reflective panels where no words are spoken. This softness emphasizes the human capacity to endure, heal, and find connection, even after great suffering. The story's dreamlike approach allows readers to feel the weight of trauma without being overwhelmed, providing a meditative lens through which emotional resilience quietly shines. Fact 96: Power's moments of solitude, especially when she reflects on Maui or her past, reveal tenderness that contrasts sharply with her usual chaos. These scenes are calm, introspective, and slow, allowing readers to see the softer, vulnerable side of her nature. Fujimoto portrays these quiet spaces with care. Empty rooms, soft light, and gentle pacing heighten the sense of emotional intimacy. Through these reflective moments, Power's inner life emerges as profoundly human, reminding readers that even those who seem wild or unrestrained have depths of feeling and longing. These quiet glimpses create a soothing emotional rhythm in the narrative. Fact 97: Denji's first experiences of love and trust are portrayed with gentle realism. His naive hope for affection is matched by fear of betrayal, creating a subtle tension that carries emotional weight. Fujimoto allows these feelings to unfold slowly through hesitant touches, shared meals, and quiet conversations rather than dramatic declarations. This understated approach makes Denji's emotional growth feel natural and relatable. Each small step toward trust and understanding becomes a soft heartbeat in the story, guiding readers to experience intimacy in its tenderest forms. These delicate portrayals make love feel luminous, fragile, and achingly human within the chaotic world of devils. Fact 98: Himeno's final moments are a poignant reflection of the series' soft handling of mortality. Her quiet bravery and selfless acts leave lingering warmth, even amidst tragedy. Fujimoto allows her death to unfold in measured, gentle beats, emphasizing emotion over spectacle. Her sacrifice becomes a meditation on connection and devotion, the cue small, intimate gestures that echo far beyond their moment. The softness of her passing leaves space for reflection, allowing the reader to linger in the emotional resonance of her life and relationships. It becomes a gentle reminder that love and courage exist in quiet, lasting forms beyond the clamor of conflict. Fact 99: The recurring theme of duality permeates the series, blending light and dark, fear and tenderness, violence and care. Denji's human and devil natures, Power's chaotic and tender sides, and the devil's frightening exterior paired with fragile interior worlds all illustrate this balance. Fujimoto portrays these dualities with poetic subtlety, inviting readers to reflect on the coexistence of contrasts in their own lives. The story's rhythm is slow and meditative, allowing contrasts to breathe and settle. This gentle layering of opposites enriches the narrative's emotional texture, creating a soothing sense of harmony amidst the apparent chaos of the story's world. Fact 100. So, even in the series' most intense battles, Fujimoto inserts moments of quiet humanity. Characters pause to catch their breath, share fleeting glances, or notice something ordinary amidst the chaos. These small, soft intervals give weight to action while providing emotional grounding. The juxtaposition of violence and tenderness allows the reader to feel both suspense and comfort simultaneously. This gentle rhythm, where intensity ebbs and flows with reflective pauses, mirrors the natural cadence of life. The story encourages the reader to slow down, breathe, and absorb the nuanced emotional currents underlying the dramatic surface, offering a soothing and reflective reading experience. Fact 101. The unique opening sequences of the Chainsaw Man anime reflect Fujimoto's love for cinema and visual storytelling. Each frame references classic films, from The Big Lebowski to Attack of the Killer Tomatoes, creating a visual mosaic that blends pop culture with personal memory. These references are not loud or jarring. They feel like quiet tributes, dreamlike glimpses into a mind shaped by many stories. For viewers, these visual homages offer an intimate, almost whispered connection to the creator himself, as though each scene is a softly spoken memory, half remembered, half reimagined, meant to be felt as much as understood. Fact 102. The use of color in the Chainsaw Man anime adaptation adds emotional depth without ever breaking the tone's subtlety. Warm oranges for tender memories, muted grays for sorrowful moments, deep reds for chaos. The palette flows like a soft emotional tide, guiding the viewer without needing to explain. These colors breathe emotion into scenes with a painterly softness. Even in the bloodiest battles, the color never overwhelms. Instead, it supports the feeling beneath the surface, like music for the eyes. It's a quiet art direction that understands mood, giving weight to silence and softness, even in action. Fact 103. The Power Aki Denji Trio's dynamic creates a sense of gentle healing masked in chaotic energy. While they argue, mess up their home, and make each other groan in exasperation, their bond is one of the purest in the story. Like stray animals learning to live together, their cohabitation is clumsy, loud, and slowly affectionate. Each of them, broken in their own ways, finds within this unlikely household something they didn't know they needed, a sense of home. Their moments together, noisy breakfasts, naps on the couch, wordless companionship, carry a quiet sweetness, like laughter echoing through a house that once stood silent. Fact 104. Denji's relationship with the concept of freedom evolves gently over the course of the story. In the beginning, freedom means something tangible: food, warmth, that's a safe bed. Later, it becomes more elusive. He begins to realize that physical freedom doesn't guarantee emotional peace. His journey becomes one of quiet reflection, peeling back the layers of what it truly means to live for oneself. Fujimoto handles this shift with soft pacing, allowing Denji's realizations to arrive like dawn, slow, golden, and just slightly melancholic. This quiet, emotional transformation gives depth to Denji's internal world, making each small epiphany feel earned and tender. Fact 105. Violence in Chainsaw. Man often carries a strange elegance, not because it is beautiful, but because it is choreographed with emotional intent. Denji's chainsaw battles, for example, are brutal yet strangely fluid, almost like dance in slow motion. Amid the slicing and tearing is a rhythm, a pulsing emotional undercurrent that never quite disappears. Fujimoto ensures that every battle has meaning, and that meaning is often tied to a character's desperation, grief, or fear. Even in carnage, there is reflection. The chaos becomes a language, and within it, emotion speaks softly, reminding us that every fight begins and ends with the heart. Fact 106. One of the most soothing visual motifs throughout the series is the presence of skies, sunsets stretching across rooftops, stars glowing above tired characters, clouds rolling gently behind them. These skies act like quiet observers of the story's unfolding drama. In moments of reflection or connection, Fujimoto often draws the camera upward, letting the sky cradle the scene in stillness. The expanse above becomes a place where burdens feel lighter, where sorrows float gently away. These skybound moments are subtle lullabies in the visual language of the manga, softening tension and inviting the reader to look up, breathe, and let go. Fact 107. The Chainsaw Man fan community has embraced the series not just for its story, but for the emotional depth it offers in its quietest moments. Fan art often focuses not on battles, but on soft expressions, quiet hugs, shared laughter. This reflects how deeply readers connect to the emotional undercurrents running beneath the surface. The way fans depict Denji sleeping peacefully, power curled beside Miyoi, or Aki smiling faintly speaks volumes. It is not the blood or fear that lingers, but the tenderness. The series has become a space where softness can be found, even in darkness, and that's what fans hold dear. Fact 108. Tatsuki Fujimoto's storytelling in one-shots like Goodbye, Airy, and Look Back echoes the emotional tone of Chainsaw Man. These works are slower, quieter, but still carry the same poetic sadness and moments of still beauty. Reading them is like entering a parallel dream, a world shaped by memory, loss, and longing. These stories reveal Fujimoto's artistic voice, not just as a storyteller of violence, but of emotional truth. His ability to depict small, aching moments, footsteps in a hallway, a soft glance, a breath held too long, shows how deeply he understands the quiet language of the heart. Fact 109. Power's final moments in the series are not loud or heroic. They're intimate and selfless. Her choice to protect Denji, not out of obligation, but from pure affection, reveals the depth of her growth. The chaos she once embodied is replaced with clarity and warmth, like a storm calming into silence. Fujimoto allows her farewell to echo long after it's spoken. In Denji's grief, we see how deeply she touched him, not just as a partner in battle, but as a sister, a friend, a home. Her departure becomes one of the story's softest heartbreaks, wrapped in love and quiet courage. Fact 110. After the loss of Aki and power, Denji's world narrows into a gentle kind of numbness. He begins to take care of Nayuta, a small child who represents both a burden and a chance for redemption. These early scenes, cooking meals, walking her to school, brushing teeth, are calm and fragile. In this quiet caretaking, Denji starts to rebuild himself, not through action, but through tenderness. The pace slows, the panels breathe, and the world becomes a little softer. It is in these domestic moments that Chainsaw Man finds its emotional rebirth, a soft whisper that healing begins in silence, one day at a time. Fact 111. The reintroduction of Denji as a caretaker to Nayuta marks a significant emotional evolution in his character. Once driven by primal needs and external validation, Denji slowly begins to act out of quiet love, choosing stability over chaos, warmth over glory. These early scenes of domestic life are filled with subtle tenderness, brushing teeth, folding clothes, preparing meals. It's in these ordinary acts that Denji rediscovers himself, not as a weapon or a devil hunter, but as a boy learning how to nurture. This new rhythm in his life unfolds like a lullaby, soft, repetitive, and healing in the way only routine can be. Fact 112: Nayuta, the reincarnation of Makima, becomes a symbol of second chances. Though she carries echoes of a past steeped in manipulation and sorrow, she arrives in Denji's world as a blank slate, curious, unpredictable, and full of potential. Through her, the story offers a quiet meditation on forgiveness, renewal, and the idea that love, when freely given, can change even the most frightening histories. Nayuta's presence is playful and light, like a soft breeze blowing through rooms that were once filled with shadows. With each of her small smiles, we are reminded that even from darkness, something warm can be born. Fact 113: in the transition to Chainsaw Man Part 2, the shift in narrative tone is both subtle and deliberate. The new focus on Asa Mitaka introduces a gentler, more introspective rhythm. Her internal monologues, her uncertainty, and her soft loneliness contrast the chaotic external world around her. Asa's journey becomes one of slow self discovery, reflecting the same emotional yearning that defined Denji's path. Fujimoto crafts her arc with tenderness, allowing space for doubt, silence, and growth. In Asa's quiet world of books, awkward glances, and whispered worries, the story becomes a soft echo of adolescence, blooming quietly in the background of a devil filled reality. Fact 114: Asa's fusion with the war devil Yoru introduces a deeply symbolic relationship between identity and conflict. Rather than immediate harmony, their union is marked by mistrust, hesitation, and slow understanding. This internal dialogue becomes a quiet metaphor for the way we all grapple with parts of ourselves we don't fully understand. Their interactions, filled with tension and reluctant collaboration, mirror the inner conversations we carry daily between fear and courage, self preservation and connection. Fujimoto allows this inner duality to grow gently, portraying not just supernatural partnership, but the soft ache of learning to coexist with one's own contradictions. Fact 115: the setting of the school in Part 2 of the manga adds a new layer of atmosphere. Classrooms, hallways, and libraries become the backdrop for emotional growth, small betrayals, and blooming friendships. There's a quiet vulnerability in school life, filled with unspoken insecurities, subtle comparisons, and fragile hopes, and Fujimoto captures this with delicate precision. These spaces feel distant from the chaos of devil hunting, yet they hold just as much weight in shaping characters. In soft pencil strokes and whispered dialogue, the school becomes more than a location. It becomes a sanctuary of becoming, where youth unfolds quietly, beautifully, and sometimes painfully. Fact 116: Yuko, one of the early supporting characters in Part 2, embodies a soft contrast to Asa's reserved nature. Her warmth, kindness, and quirky sense of justice bring a spark of connection to Asa's quiet world. The friendship that blooms between them is shy, sweet, and full of hesitant hope. But like many bonds in Chainsaw Man, it is tested by fear and power. Yuko's fate carries quiet tragedy, unfolding not with fanfare, but with a bittersweet sigh. Her story is a gentle reminder of how brief but meaningful relationships can shape a person's heart, even when they vanish too soon. Fact 117: Asa's power to turn things she loves into weapons creates a poetic metaphor wrapped in emotional tension. It forces her to confront the duality of affection and destruction, making every connection a potential loss. This power becomes more than a tool. It becomes a mirror reflecting her fears of attachment and self worth. Fujimoto uses this ability not to sensationalize, but to explore the soft complexity of emotional vulnerability. Each object Asa transforms carries a history, a feeling, a quiet goodbye. Her weapon making is not just magic, it's a slow act of grieving, wrapped in the delicate folds of the everyday. Fact 118: Even the devils, introduced in Part 2, continue the series' tradition of blending fear with strange beauty. From the Justice Devil to the Falling Devil, each creature is given a design and demeanor that evokes not just terror, but melancholy, sorrow, or awe. The Falling Devil, for instance, speaks softly, moves gracefully, and confronts victims with memories rather than violence. It embodies the sensation of spiraling into sadness, like descending into a quiet, velvet lined abyss. These devils become more than enemies. They become poetic expressions of human emotion, shaped into beings that feel both alien and heartbreakingly familiar. At 119, Fujimoto's ability to write solitude continues to be one of his strongest storytelling tools. Asa's loneliness is not dramatic. It is subtle, stitched into the spaces between conversations, in long silences, and in the way she walks through crowds unnoticed. Her solitude feels real, tender, and unromanticized. The story does not rush to fix her loneliness. Instead, it allows the reader to sit with it, to understand it, and to recognize it within themselves. In this quiet stillness, Chainsaw Man creates an emotional resonance that is soft, slow, and deeply comforting, like lying in bed and listening to your own breathing. Fact 120: Part two's pacing invites the reader to slow down. Unlike the rapid, wild energy of early Chainsaw Man, this new arc flows like a calm river, with ripples of tension but an overall sense of reflection. It's in the quiet spaces between panels, in the eyes of characters who don't know what to say, that the story whispers its deepest truths. This deliberate softness does not replace action, but recontextualizes it, making each burst of chaos feel more grounded. Fujimoto is not just telling a story, he's guiding the reader through emotional terrain with the patience of someone walking through a quiet forest path. Fact 121: Fujimoto's use of dialogue is sparse, but every word carries weight. Characters often say less than they feel, letting their silences speak. This restraint creates emotional space, allowing readers to fill in the quiet with their own interpretations. Conversations in Chainsaw Man feel like whispers in a dimly lit room, tentative, sincere, and often unresolved. It is this soft, unspoken tension that gives the story its emotional texture. Rather than loud confrontation, the deepest truths come through pauses, glances, and the words left unsaid. It is storytelling that trusts the reader to feel more than they are told. Fact 122: The backgrounds in Chainsaw Man often hold stories of their own: empty alleyways, cluttered apartments, quiet train stations. These settings are more than scenery, they are emotional extensions of the character's states of mind. A wide shot of a character standing alone on a rooftop tells us as much as any line of dialogue. Fujimoto uses these subtle visual cues to build atmosphere, creating an emotional resonance that lingers beneath the action. These quiet details, flickering lights, long hallways, scattered belongings, invite the reader to slow down and breathe within the world, to find softness even in silence. Fact 123. The theme of memory gently threads through the narrative, especially in the way characters recall moments of warmth amidst chaos. A shared meal, a soft laugh, a quiet apology. These fragments linger, haunting and comforting. Memories in Chainsaw Man are not linear. They arrive like dreams, often colored by grief, longing, or hope. Denji remembers Pochita not as a weapon, but as a friend curled beside him in sleep. Power's memory lives in a song, in a scent, in a flash of light. These soft echoes remind us that love is not lost when people are gone. It remains, quietly stitched into memory. Fact 124. Time in Chainsaws. Man flows in strange poetic rhythms. Days pass without being marked, and sometimes everything changes in a single instant. Fujimoto avoids traditional pacing in favor of emotional pacing, letting scenes stretch or shrink depending on the feeling they hold. A second of realization can last pages. A death can pass in a quiet panel. This elastic sense of time mirrors how we often experience life, quickly in joy, slowly in sorrow, strangely in between. The story feels like a dream you wake from softly, unsure how long you were asleep, but knowing you felt something deep and real. Fact 125. Denji's character arc is not about rising to glory. It's about finding peace. His journey is not one of becoming more powerful, but of becoming more human. Each choice he makes becomes softer, less about survival, more about care. Whether it's choosing to make breakfast, walking Nayuta to school, or letting go of revenge, Denji moves slowly towards something tender. In a world where strength is measured by fear, Denji's quiet victories, his kindness, his growth, his willingness to feel, shine the brightest. Fujimoto frames these moments with deep care, making Denji's emotional healing feel like the story's most profound triumph. Fact 126. The balance of horror and humor in Chainsaw Man is not a contradiction, it's a comfort. Just when the weight feels too much, a bizarre moment of levity appears. Power shrieking about vegetables, Denji fixating on mundane desires, or an unexpected punchline mid fight. These absurd beats don't undercut the emotion, they enhance it. They remind us that life is never just one thing. It is joy in grief, light in darkness, laughter in pain. This soft duality makes the story feel human in the deepest sense, like a lullaby with sharp edges that somehow soothes you anyway. Fact 127. Fujimoto has said in interviews that he writes from instinct, not outlining rigidly, but feeling his way through the story. This approach gives Chainsaw Man its flowing, organic nature. Events unfold with the unpredictable rhythm of real life, messy, beautiful, sudden. This instinctual storytelling invites readers to trust the journey, even when they don't know where it's going. And yet, through it all, an emotional logic prevails. Love leads to loss, fear shapes power, tenderness survives in quiet corners. The story may twist, but its heart always beats softly beneath, steady and true, like 128. Throughout the story, the act of sleeping is treated with reverence. Denji collapsing into bed after a long day, characters dozing on trains, or resting beside one another. These scenes create a sense of peace amidst the noise. Sleep becomes not just a physical need, but an emotional shelter. In a world where rest is rare, these quiet scenes feel like small miracles. Fujimoto lingers on these moments, letting them last just a little longer so readers can breathe, exhale, and feel what the characters feel: safety, stillness, and the soft promise of dreams waiting just beyond the frame. Fact 120: the emotional tone of Chainsaw Man is never static. It ebbs and flows like tidewater, sometimes fierce, sometimes calm. But always beneath the blood and noise is a softness, a trembling vulnerability. The characters are all in some way reaching for connection. Some find it briefly, some lose it, but the reaching itself, the desire to be seen, held, understood, is what gives the story its dreamlike gravity. It's why readers return, not for the chainsaws, but for the hearts quietly beating beneath them. Chainsaw Man is not a story of devils. It is a lullaby for the lonely. Fact 130: the final truth of Chainsaw Man is a quiet one. Love, in all its forms, is what endures. Not the battles, not the contracts, not the power, but the gentle moments shared between broken people trying to hold on. Denji and Pochita, Denji and power, Aki and his family, Himno's quiet hope, Nayuta's small smiles. All of it forms a constellation of soft light in a dark sky. It is not flashy. It does not shout, Zora, but it shines, steady and warm, guiding readers gently toward the understanding that even in a brutal world, tenderness matters most. Thank you for drifting with me tonight. As the world fades softly into quiet slumber, may you find peace in the tender spaces between your thoughts. May the warmth of these stories settle into your heart, and may your dreams be gentle and kind. Let go of the noise, the worries, and the weight of the day, and allow yourself to rest deeply in the soft rhythm of the night. Good night, dear friend. Sleep well, and may you wake to a new day filled with warmth, light, and the quiet promise of more stories to come.